In this video, we are going to go over the top 5 favorite things that most people in Chicago love about our city. Now, I am a local real estate broker here with At Properties. My name is Samuel Shahan, and I am the team lead for Chicago Lifestyle. And I have lived in Chicago for, God, almost 20 some years. I absolutely adore Chicago. I could never imagine living anywhere else. As always, in most of our videos, we would love for you, if you're new to it, to subscribe. Also make sure you like this video and leave a comment below on what your favorite things about the city is going to be. Now, let's dive in on what the top 5 are. Number 1, I love everything. I think the first thing that most people love about the city of Chicago is just the overall cleanliness. I mean, like, if you go to any other big city in the entire country, a lot of them are very dirty. The great thing about being in Chicago is, it was kind of a negative thing, but it also is a positive thing, is that Chicago had the Great Fire in the late 1800s, and so we were able to rebuild our entire city and actually urban plan it, which I don't think a lot of cities had the forethought to actually do that, especially the cities on the East Coast have had to like kind of grow into what they're doing. But because of the Great Fire in Chicago, we were able to like literally urban plan. So now we have alleys, we have light wells, we have just really clean streets, and that's going to be all throughout the city of Chicago. And then on top of it, we literally were able to do parallel and perpendicular streets, which allow alleys to line up, which makes it really efficient from just like a basic standpoint of cleanliness. Now, we are known as the rat capital of the entire country, so there is that caveat to it, and that's a per capita, and we've won it for probably, I think, like the last 8 years. But still, like, just from like a visual standpoint, our downtown like doesn't compare to any other downtown. It is like so gorgeous. Like, the basic high-rise was created here, and then we perfected it to be like this amazing metropolis that just like has so much beauty. And with all the parks, like, we have so much green space here, it is insane. And then on top of it, you have the lake, which is bar none like anything else. It's just stunning. So I would say that is the number 1 thing that most people love about the city of Chicago. Our number 2 that most people love about it is going to be the lake. Honestly, that is the most iconic thing that you will ever find is the Lake Michigan and our shores. Now, the way that we developed Chicago actually has only 1 residential building that is on the east side of Lakeshore Drive. So when the developers in the city urban planning planned the city out, they wanted everyone to have access to the lake. So you literally only have that 1 building, which is 505 North Lakeshore, that's gonna be on the east side of Lakeshore Drive. Everything else is public space, and it's also parks that just line it, which allow us to, as residents here, really thrive and enjoy the outdoors and get as much as we can from that one aspect. Now, on the north side, the hard thing about Lake Michigan is there are a couple buildings that are right along it, and now they're having issues with financing because they've been put into flood zones. But I just think, like, overall, the amount of beaches that we have created, and then also just the amount of parks that we've created along Lakeshore Drive is insane as well. In the summer, everyone goes boating. So we have the Playpen. It is an area right offside Ohio Street Beach, which gives access to boaters to kind of tie up. Everyone parties there. You know, in the summer, you have all the fireworks that go on Lakeshore. So you have Navy Pier, which is the #1 tourist destination in the entire Midwest. They actually set off fireworks twice a week, including on holidays. So like New Year's Eve or 4th of July or any of those other times. That is another like backdrop just to the fireworks that just make it so much more magical. So 3 is the architecture. So Chicago is world renowned for our architecture, and did you know that we are the birthplace of the high-rise, the modern high-rise, so where all the glass is? We had Frank Lloyd Wright, who had so much to do with the prairie-style homes. We also have, you know, the introduction of the Ferris wheel. Like, we just had so much that happened here in terms of architecture, and we are just enhancing the skyline like it is nobody's business. We literally just had one of the first female architects to like win huge awards for 2 buildings here in the city of Chicago, which included the Aqua Building, which is in Lakeshore East, as well as the new St. Regis, where that design literally has light wells that go through the building so that air can pass through so it doesn't sway too much, because that's how tall it is. Now, most people when they come to Chicago know the Hancock and the Sears Tower. Yes, I said Sears because it will always be the frickin' Sears Tower. It will never be Willis. So those are quintessential Chicago icons in the sky. But you do have Trump Tower. You also have the Aon Center, which is one of the tallest non-residential buildings in the country. There's so many amazing architectural buildings, and that's just newer modern buildings. I mean, if you look at the 1920s or like before that, where Daniel Burnham created a ton of different properties in the city, you have the London House, you have the Wrigley Building, you have Tribune Tower. There's so many amazing old school architectural pieces that just like littered with the new modern, it gives us like that amazing juxtaposition in the city, which is just incredible. Now, I don't know if you've been able to come into Chicago, but literally the best thing about Chicago is the architecture tour, which goes down the river, which we literally engineered to be backdrafted so that all of our shit could go to St. Louis. Like, that is insane. But just from like an architectural standpoint, if you see downtown, a lot of the buildings are actually going to be chairs. It allows light to go through. Everyone has the access to the natural light that the sun provides. It's crazy. The best part also about Chicago, which is super fun, especially if you're in the neighborhoods. I know everyone talks about all the buildings downtown with the high rises and everything, but literally in the urban neighborhoods, you have bungalows. And did you know that Chicago bungalows actually were made by Sears catalog company? And so we used to sell 6 floor plans from Sears. That is like modern day going to Amazon and literally buying a house off Amazon and building it from scratch by yourself. They literally just ship you it, and then you build it. But the cool thing about it is you have these brick structures that are all along the northwest side, and they are incredible. Like, they have amazing floor plans, you get a lot of space, and they're actually very affordable, which was the purpose of creating it. It was literally for these neighborhoods with Polish and working class neighborhoods that they could come, they could build affordable housing and raise their families. I mean, ultimately, why does good architecture matter? Ultimately, it's about a quality of life. Literally, there's just something to be said about looking at something so stunning. It's a functionality. Like, good architecture should be combining functionality with beauty and combining it so that you have this enhanced life, and it's simply exquisite. And that's what Chicago is. It's a functional but yet gorgeous, stunning city that we all really feel happy to live in. Our 4th one is the culture that just like permeates the city. It is like absolutely amazing. We're the 3rd largest city in the entire country. It literally is the most diverse culturally. It's theater, it is food, it is entertainment, it's music, it is everything. Now, Chicago is just one of those hubs that We really milked using Lake Michigan and just exploded because everyone really wanted to live here. And because of that, because we were so scrappy and hardworking and wanted a lot, we really became this epicenter of the country. And I think it just rivals LA, it rivals New York City, it rivals everything. I mean, my favorite thing is like the theater scene here. Chicago's theater scene is insane. I mean, the amount of Broadway shows that we actually get here. Now, the really cool thing about it is Broadway actually tests their things before they go to Broadway. So between Boston and here, we get a lot of tester musicals. So like even this week, we're going to probably see Death Becomes Her, which is the original with Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep. Like they just turned it into a musical and they're gonna test it. A couple years ago, I was able to go to the Cher show, which was Cher's musical. It was my birthday and she was in the crowd. Like the other week was the release of Boop, which is the Betty Boop musical, and that was here as well, and it tested before it went to Broadway. And guess who was in the crowd? Catherine McPhee and David, her husband. I forget his last name. I actually don't remember his last name, but he's very, very famous. And I'm so sorry. I know he was like Whitney and like all of that, but again, the amount of caliber of professionals who come here, it's insane. And then on top of it, you have Second City, which is hands down the best improv community that the world has to see. I mean, it had the likes of Tina Fey, Molly Shannon, all of these people who ended up on SNL and just like thrived in their comedy career. This is why like movies are set here. Like we have movie sets all the time. If you're looking at the Bear list, you're looking at Home Alone, the Blues Brothers, like everything has been shot here in Chicago, and that isn't a testament to what this city has to offer. Now, the dining situation here in the city is absolutely like phenomenal. We literally have a ton of Michelin star restaurants, including Alinea. James Beard has been hosted here in the last year, and then we also have a contract for the next 5-ish years. It is literally a culinary destiny to come here and eat. Last week, we just did Restaurant Week, which had 350 participating restaurants. If you go onto the website for the Cook County, Chicago has like over 10,000 restaurants. A little bit of everything for everyone. Now, on top of all of that, we have our art and our museums. Did you know that the Museum of Science and Industry was actually made during the World's Fair of 1894? Like, it is crazy that we literally built this entire structure back in the day, and it was the first time electricity was introduced to an indoor facility. That happened here in the city of Chicago. Like, we have invented so much that has advanced the lives of everyone all over the world. We have Museum Campus, which has the Field Museum, which has Sue, the dinosaur. It's the Tyrannosaurus Rex. We also have the Shed Aquarium, which is world renowned. I mean, like the amount of belugas they have in that tank is insane. And we literally have one of the best breeding facilities for beluga whales. Like, nobody ever thinks about it, but the amount of conservation that they do is just incredible. And then on top of it, you have the planetarium, which is right in that same vicinity as well. So stargazing, all of that. I'm actually super excited. We're doing Adler After Dark, which is one of the best things to kind of do. They allow everyone to come in. You have to buy tickets, but it's a free event on Wednesdays every month. And you get to go to the Adler Planetarium and literally just walk around. You get to view the sky. You get to learn everything. It is one of the best date ideas that you will do. But then the art museums, like the art museums and the Modern Art Museum, which is up in Gold Coast, is incredible. I think Chicago is one of the best cities for culture and just getting out, doing things. And I didn't even mention the music scene, because that is chef's kiss, like, so much. All right, so our fifth favorite thing about why people love the city of Chicago is literally just the diversity that the city has to offer. I mean, we are 78 different neighborhoods, and that's not even including the micro neighborhoods of all the different areas that Chicago has to offer. There is a ton of culture, and Chicago is an international city with so many different cultures just moving here from their homelands and residing here and bringing their culture and their lifestyle, and just like everything just kind of blends together. And again, each different neighborhood has so many different cute characteristics of like a lifelong journey of going through different types of cultures and people, and everyone just like works together in order to create this like fabric of just amazingness in the city.